Hello everyone, I hope you're doing amazing. Today I want to share with you about the fourth density stage of consciousness. So, if you have been following my channel, then you know that I keep talking about wizard consciousness as the fourth density stage of consciousness and how I came out of my dark night of the soul in mid 2020 and I felt I ascended to the fourth density stage of consciousness, right? So in this video, I want to share with you about what is fourth density stage of consciousness, what are the qualities of the fourth density stage of consciousness, and how would you know that if you have entered this magical consciousness of fourth density, right? So let's begin. Now, very recently I conducted a master class where a lot of incredible people attended, and one lady, she during the Q&A session, she asked me, Debjit, tell me what is 4D consciousness, right? And it was probably one of the few times I got asked that question, and I was able to, somehow explain my perceptions about the fourth density stage of consciousness. And now I feel that I should share more with you about what is actually fourth density stage of consciousness. So the first thing that I want to share with you is about the surrendered state. So I remember when I came out of my dark night of the soul, in mid 2020, I felt I ascended to the fourth density stage of consciousness the moment my dark night of the soul ended, and it ended with surrendering. So I had been experiencing my dark night of the soul by that time for more than a decade, and again my dark night of the soul had its phases, it had its peak periods, it had its valley periods, but it had been going on for some time. And so when it ended, that is when I felt that I ascended to the fourth density stage of consciousness. Now how do I know it, that I ascended to that stage of consciousness? Now again, these things are very mystical because it all came from my downloads from my higher self, from my connection with my higher self. It was literally my higher self which kept confirming to me that now I have entered a different stage of consciousness, which is the fourth density stage of consciousness, right? And things are going to be different moving forward in many, many ways. And the essential thing that happened for me that marked my entry into the fourth density stage of consciousness is the surrendered state. That is when I was able to completely give up the fight that I had been fighting all these years internally, the resistance with life, that fight with life, trying to be in control of my life, which was mainly what the dark night of the soul was about. The dark night of the soul for me was about me finally giving up and let life take over and just surrender. So when I finally gave up the fight for good, accepted defeat and surrendered, and at that moment my dark night of the soul ended. And when that ended, I experienced great peace, great bliss, great inner harmony, and everything that happened afterwards. But what happened and what did not leave and never changed was the surrendered state itself. The surrendered state remained. That is, after that, I was able to do anything and everything that I was doing in my life from that surrendered state. Yes, I have free will, I make choices, I make decisions, but then again, most of my life has become surrendered. It has become surrendered to life, it has become surrendered to the universe. So most of what I do comes from what you would call being from a guided state, being from a called state. So whenever I feel called to do something, that is when I know that the universe is asking me to do something, and that's when I do it. So the simple story of me becoming a spiritual teacher and how it happened can probably give you some ideas about the surrendered state. So when I came out of the dark night of the soul in mid 2020, back at that time, I left my previous venture as a productivity coach. I had to leave it during the dark night of the soul, during the end of 2019, because I was not at all resonating with that work, and my intuition was asking me to face my dark night of the soul head on. And I stopped that work. And so when I stopped that work, and when I came out of the dark night of the soul, I had nothing going on career wise, business wise, job wise, nothing. So there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, anxiety going on, as in what's going to happen to my life, because I totally felt that I cannot do a normal job, but what is going to happen to me? But because I had surrendered, so I was able to stay in the surrendered state, and I knew intuitively that my inner guidance, my higher self, will let me know when it's time, what am I supposed to be doing, and when it comes, I'm going to do that, because apparently there is no other way. So that is the surrendered state. That is the surrendered state. You see, it's not that you don't have free will, you have, but you are prioritizing your higher self and your calling and your guidance from the universe before your personal mind, in a sense, right? So, and it's precisely that is how it happened. Within 3 months or so, 3 to 5 months, I don't remember exactly, I felt called to start sharing my knowledge and wisdom and realizations with people. I started connecting with people, and I started offering them, sessions so that I can teach them about inner harmony. Very soon I was called to again become a spiritual teacher, start my YouTube channel, and things kept moving forward. So that is one of the biggest thing that I can share about the fourth density stage of consciousness. That is the surrendered state. So if you find yourself in a place in your life right now when you are mostly operating from the surrendered state, you are probably very close to the fourth density stage of consciousness, because in the fourth density stage of consciousness, we are constantly surrendered. We are not fighting anymore. We are not climbing anymore. We are literally relaxed and chilled. We are enjoying the present moment. We are enjoying this present moment fully and waiting for the callings to come in. When the calling comes in, we just do it. And that's how our life gets more and more revealed. So that is the thing that I can share to you about the fourth density stage of consciousness, which is the surrendered state. Now, the second thing that I want to share to you about the fourth density stage of consciousness is the breaking down of the walls between the mystical and the real. So I remember back when I used to be, in my older version, before the dark night of the soul ended, I remember I used to be a spiritual person. I used to be a very much a spiritual person since I was a child. But whenever I would read something or hear something, spiritual, it would resonate, it would connect. I know it's part of my journey. But there was always this separation that there's this whole spiritual thing, which could be real, may not be real, or and then there's this real life, 3D life, the life of causality, the life of physics, where things are more real, things are actually real. There was this distinction. Even though I was very spiritual, I was meditating, I was doing the whole thing, but this distinction was there, that yes, probably angels exist, probably higher self exists, probably life after death exists, but I just don't know. And I have to admit, I don't know, and those things could be real, could not be real, I don't know. But this life, this hardcore life, physical reality of blood and flesh and 3D, that is definitely real, right? So when I came out of my dark night of the soul, increasingly increasingly something started to happen, was the breaking down of the walls between the mystical and the real. Now, those things that I would call concepts or understanding, they were not concepts and understandings and perceptions anymore. They were real. I needed to live and walk my life and breathe every day with the mystical. My entire life became connected with my higher self. I would have to pay attention to my inner guidance. I would have to pay attention to my intuition. I have to pay attention to the downloads I was receiving, because I was receiving downloads. I was healing, I was integrating, and the mystical became completely intertwined with the real, to the point I could not differentiate like what was real and what was mystical anymore. You see? And that is another crucial sign that you are entering the fourth density stage of consciousness, is the barriers between the mystical and the real will be completely broken down. You will have to live completely in connection with the mystical realms, angels, higher self, higher mind, downloads, energetic shifts, integrations. All those things will be as real as the real things in your 3D life. That means it's not just 3D life anymore. It has become 4D. It has become 4D for you. So that is what I wanted to share, that this is something that happens the more you enter into fourth density stage of consciousness. Right now, the third thing that I want to share with you is even more interesting, more mystical. That is a higher refresh rate. So what do I mean by higher refresh rate? Now, this is a term I came to know from another spiritual teacher who helped me a lot during my dark night of the soul. I used his free courses on the internet, and it helped me tons during my dark night of the soul. His name is Bentinho Massaro, and I remember watching one of his videos, and he mentioned about this particular word, which immediately resonated with me. Immediately, I'm like, wow, somebody has given this feeling a term, and there cannot be a more perfect term for this. He was talking probably about ascending and higher stages of consciousness, and he was mentioning that this higher stage of consciousness, you will feel that you will have a higher refresh rate. So what is a higher refresh rate? It's a very computery technical term. Some of you maybe know it, some of you may not be acquainted with it. So the simple idea is refresh rate is usually is the frame rate of the display of your monitor. So your monitor, computer monitor, your TV monitor, or any display, has a certain frame rate going on. For example, it is it has a frame rate of maybe 100 frames per second or 120 frames per second, something like that, right? So this is something that is also probably known as the refresh rate, like how quickly the display is refreshing itself, right? Now, what I felt after I ascended to the fourth density stage of consciousness was literally this. That's my refresh rate has increased. You might also call like your vibration has increased or your frequency has increased, but the word refresh rate was the closest term that I could call to what I was feeling. Like, I feel that I am much more quickly refreshing and vibrating in the present moment. And one of the feelings that comes from this is the feeling of you are much more awake in the present moment, as if all your last life or old life you were not as awake in the present moment. Now you are more awake in the present moment. That is the feeling that you get when you feel that your vibration has increased, your frequency has increased, or your refresh rate has increased. You will feel that you are calibrating really quickly, you are integrating really quickly, everything is faster for you, transmutation is faster for you, spiritual healing is faster for you, because you are simply more awake in the present moment. You see? So that is a feeling. That is a feeling. So if you are feeling that your frequency has increased, that you are much more awake in this present moment, then that is a clear sign that you are moving towards higher stages of consciousness, or you are arriving towards the fourth density stage of consciousness, right? Now, the other thing that I want to share with you is the dissolving with the higher mind. Now, what I also started experiencing after I ascended, after the dark night of the soul, and it started happening gradually, but it was becoming very, very clear to me that I am losing my mind. What do I mean by that? What I mean is I was losing my 3D mind, and it was dissolving with my higher mind, because I would notice that the more I would stay in the surrendered state, the more I would be able to stay in the flow states, and my higher mind would send me downloads. It would send me guidance. It would send me, all sorts of things. And I started noticing that I was becoming more and more in tune with the higher mind throughout the day, 24/7. And it became more and more clear when I started doing one-on-one spiritual coaching sessions with students and clients. I started noticing that I had to become more connected with my higher mind in order to serve them, in order to guide them with their challenges. Many times my students would come with questions and challenges that I would feel like I have no clue how to answer it. I do not have those experiences. I do not know about those challenges. And it was in those moments that I would center myself and tune in with my higher self, and the answers would just come through me. I would just know how to handle that situation, that challenge, and how to guide them in the best possible way. And it would come through me. And it would left me wondering, how on earth do I know this? How do I know all of that stuff? Because I knew that I did not made it up. I did not have any answer, but it just came, and it kept happening more and more and more and more and more, session after session. The more I started doing session, it was a process for me completely dissolving with my higher mind, in a sense. So my 3D mind and my 4D mind was dissolving. I was completely dissolving with my higher mind, to the point I started feeling that if somebody, if somebody takes a brain scan after my dark night of the soul, how my brain works and how it was working before the dark night of the soul, there should be some significant differences in how my brain operates, because my brain is not the same at the moment. That's how I feel. It is much more relaxed, much more not working, much more, laid back. Basically, it's not doing anything most of the time. It's just laid back, and whenever something comes, it starts doing things and starts acting. Okay, and all of it is happening because it's just more rested to the higher mind. It's not just the 3D mind anymore. It's connected with the higher mind. So if you are experiencing that you are dissolving with the higher mind, that there is no distinction between the higher mind and the regular 3D mind, and that distinction is going away more and more, then that is also a clear sign that you are arriving at your fourth density stage of consciousness. Now, the other thing that also happens when you enter the fourth density stage of consciousness is time and space. They start becoming very different. You start perceiving them very differently. So what do I mean by this? So the more I started ascending, I started noticing one big shift in my life, big change in perception of reality. That is time and space. I started noticing that time and how I used to perceive time is not the same, and space and how I used to perceive space is not the same. It also happened because I was given a lot of downloads, which led to a lot of realizations, but it started becoming very, very clear that time is becoming very different. So you'll probably notice that time is going really fast for you, very fast, as in like months are going away like this, as if time has been sped up like crazy. That is one of those things. Right? And you are just not noticing time anymore. You are so much in the flow state throughout the day that time is just going away, and you just don't know. You just don't know how time is going away, right? So that is one of the things that started to happen with me more and more and more and more and more, right? At first it used to freak me out. It still sometimes does, but the more I tune in, the more I connect with my higher self, it is let known to me that what we call time, it actually doesn't exist, because time essentially is a perception that gets created when you think that you are in a limited time frame bound by the human experience, which is not the truth. You are a spirit, and the spirit exists eternally in the now moment, and the now moment is all that exists, and you cannot box the now moment in hours or minutes or days or months or years, because the now moment is always the eternal now moment, and it just exists. What just happens is you become more and more awake in this now moment, you see. So time starts shifting in many ways. Sometimes time will slow down, sometimes time will quicken up, and that is one of those things that I started experiencing. And the other thing was space itself. So the idea of space started changing also. I started realizing and perceiving space differently. I started realizing that there's no such thing as space. All that there exists is me and my reality, and things that appear in my reality, experiences that appear in my reality. You know, there's no such thing as distance, but experiences and the quality of those experiences. Sometimes when an experience is not vibrationally solid, it will not appear in your physical experience, and it would feel like it's in a distance. When that same experience becomes more and more vibrationally solid, it appears much more closer to you, and it feels that the distance has been closed. That is the same thing as manifesting your desires or manifesting anything. It's the vibrational journey from less solid to more solid. And I started understanding that there is no such thing as distance, but consciousness itself, which creates the experience of time, which creates the experience of space. And all of it is happening in this consciousness, which I call myself and my reality, right? So the simplest example that I can get to you is your dream. So in your dream, when you're dreaming, like at night, you might think that a person is there in your dream who is standing at a distance. A person or a mountain is there at a distance. And but when you wake up from the dream, where is the distance? It was all happening in your own reality, in your own dream reality, and there is no space in your own dream reality. Really, that was just an illusion. The illusion of distance was created by the consciousness. Similarly, this is a dream, and the illusion of space has been created by the consciousness here too. It actually doesn't exist. It's just a way of perceiving in 3D reality. And the more you arrive at your 4D stage of consciousness, more that distance and the understanding of distance changes, of space changes, of time changes, because you start seeing things from a more awakened space, from a more higher vibrational, higher level place. And it starts becoming clear to you what everything is. So that is what I wanted to share with you. If you are noticing you are perceiving time and space differently, that they're becoming fluid, that they're becoming different, you operate in your life very differently from that perception, then you are coming very, very close to the fourth density stage of consciousness, right? Now, the last thing that I want to share with you that can tell you that you are nearing the fourth density stage of consciousness is resonance with fourth density knowledge and perceptions and concepts. Now, what do I mean by this? So there's one spiritual teacher that I have been following and resonating for almost a decade now, more than a decade, I think. And I keep mentioning his name time to time in this channel. His name is Bashar. Bashar is actually the name of the entity, the alien entity who is channeled by the person whose name is Daryl Anka. So you can find out his videos on YouTube, and he has been helping me in my journey a lot, for a long time. Actually, I've been watching his videos, and the interesting thing is, when I watch Bashar's videos and his transmissions, and the particular entity, the extraterrestrial entity, but Daryl Anka channels, they are known as the Ssani, right? And they call themselves that they are also in the fourth density stage of consciousness. And the transmissions that come through Daryl Anka, from Bashar, and the messages and the concepts and the ideas and the realizations and the perceptions, they resonate with me so much that I completely feel that we are in that same stage of consciousness. I know this, that I'm in the beginning stage of the fourth density stage of consciousness. I've just entered this room, which is big room, big hall, which is fourth density stage of consciousness, and they are far above, they are far along that place. I know that. But then I also know, whenever I hear any message from him, that there is such deep resonance with who I am, what my higher self is giving to me, and what is coming through Bashar. And there is no denying that. And my higher self has given me many downloads, which completely is in confirmation with what Bashar also shares. So when such resonance happens with another fourth density stage of consciousness being, it becomes very clear that, wow, that can't happen if we are not in that same or similar stage of consciousness. So if you are experiencing a high level of resonance, a high level of confirmation with fourth density stages of consciousness, level of ideas, concepts, and perceptions and knowledge, then that is another clear sign that you are nearing the fourth density stage of consciousness, or you are already in it. Because there is no other way you would experience such resonance unless you are close to that vibration, right? So I hope everything that I've shared in this video about the fourth density stage of consciousness has helped you understand what this stage of consciousness is all about. And if you have resonated, I would absolutely love it if you leave a comment and let me know what are the things that you enjoyed the most in this video, right? Now, what I also want to share with you is I am hosting these free masterclass sessions, which are 90 minutes long, almost every Saturday now. And in these masterclass sessions, I am sharing in depth about what is the wizard stage of consciousness, what is this fourth density stage of consciousness, and how you can live magically by connecting with your inner guidance system. You have an inner guidance system through which your higher self constantly communicates to you. And if you can just learn to pay attention to the signals of your inner guidance system, then you will be able to align with your highest timeline, your path of least resistance and most harmonious evolution, and you will be able to live life magically. You'll be able to allow abundance to flow into your life magically while you enjoy the present moment, enjoy the now moment. So if you want to learn about all of this directly from me, then do attend my masterclass. It's happening on Saturday, this Saturday, May 11th. And all you have to do to attend my masterclass is sign up for my masterclass. The link for my masterclass will be given in the description of this video. So go and sign up for my masterclass. In the masterclass, I'm going to also conduct a meditation session, which is going to help you connect with your inner sanctuary and experience higher level of inner harmony within. And you will also have a Q&A session with me where you'll be able to ask me questions directly, and I'll be able to answer your questions directly. And at the end of the masterclass, I'm going to share with you about my 6-week wizard initiation program that I've created, which is all about in-depth connecting with your inner guidance system so that you can align with your highest timeline. And you will be offered a big discount on my program if you attend my masterclass. So you do not want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity, right? So why wait? Go sign up for my masterclass. Link is in the description. It's happening on this Saturday, May 11th. Right now, I'm also writing newsletters, in-depth newsletters that I am sending to my readers, where I share a lot of in-depth content, understanding about the spiritual awakening journey and how you can live in alignment with your soul purpose. If you want to receive my personally handcrafted newsletters directly into your inbox, to sign up for my free newsletters, link is in the description of my video. Go sign up and you'll be able to receive my newsletters directly into your inbox. And if you have enjoyed this video, then do give this video a like, and if you have not already, do subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And go watch my recent video where I shared about what are some of the challenges that we experience in the spiritual awakening, and how sometimes we experience a lot of ascension symptoms like the third eye hurting. So if you are experiencing some of that, go watch this videos and some of the other videos in my channel which will appear here. Go watch it, and I'll see you again in the next video. So have fun, and I'll see you again soon.